The alien girl stood on the edge of a quiet park, her wide eyes scanning the humans around her. She had come to Earth as part of an observation mission, tasked with understanding human behavior and culture. Her species, known for their advanced technology and insatiable curiosity, had long been fascinated by humanity's strange customs. The girl, who called herself Lyra, tilted her head slightly as she watched two people sitting at a cafe table across the street. Lyra was not like other observers from her world. While most aliens sent to study Earth relied heavily on data streams and holographic simulations, Lyra preferred direct interaction. She believed that true understanding could only come from experiencing things firsthand. And so, here she was, disguised in a simple human form, a soft gray sweater, jeans, and sneakers, with shimmering blue hair that she hoped wouldn't attract too much attention. Her gaze lingered on the couple at the cafe. They were laughing, leaning close to each other, sharing what appeared to be small plates of food. To Lyra, this scene raised many questions. Why did they share their sustenance? Was it a sign of trust? Friendship? Or something else entirely? She flipped through the notes on her wristband, a compact device disguised as a bracelet, which contained all the information her kind had gathered about humans thus far. According to the database, eating together was considered a bonding activity among humans. But there was no mention of why they smiled so much while doing it, or why one person occasionally fed the other with a fork. Curiosity burned within Lyra. If sharing food was indeed a ritual, then perhaps participating in it would help her understand humans better. With newfound determination, she stepped forward, ready to immerse herself in the experience. As she approached the cafe, however, she noticed something peculiar. A man nearby held out a flower to a woman passing by. The woman blushed, took the flower, and giggled before walking away. Lyra paused, tilting her head again. This act seemed unrelated to nourishment, but carried similar undertones of connection. Could these actions be linked somehow? Determined to uncover the truth, Lyra decided to start small. She entered the cafe, ordered a plate of spaghetti, a dish recommended by her wristband as romantic, and sat alone at a corner table. From there, she observed more closely, taking mental notes on every gesture, every shared glance, every bite exchanged between couples. But little did Lyra know, her attempts to decode human mating rituals were about to take a turn she never expected. For when another customer accidentally bumped into her table, spilling sauce onto her sweater, Lyra found herself face to face with someone who would challenge everything she thought she knew. Oops! Oh no, I'm so sorry! The man stammered as he quickly grabbed a napkin from the table. His face flushed red, and his hands trembled slightly as he tried to clean up the mess he had made. Lyra blinked at him, momentarily frozen in confusion. On her home planet, such clumsiness would have been seen as a grave social faux pas, but here on Earth, it seemed this man was genuinely apologetic. It's fine, Lyra said slowly, her voice carrying just a hint of uncertainty. She tilted her head again, studying him carefully. He looked ordinary enough, brown hair, blue eyes, wearing a plain green jacket, but there was something intriguing about the way he kept glancing at her while dabbing at the sauce stain on her sweater. No, really, let me make it up to you, the man insisted. Can I buy you another plate? Or maybe coffee? Anything? Lyra hesitated. Her wristband buzzed softly against her skin, feeding her information about human courtesies. Offering compensation for accidents was considered polite behavior. But why did this man seem so nervous? Why were his cheeks still tinged with color? And why did he keep looking at her like she might vanish if he looked away? I suppose that would be acceptable, Lyra replied after a moment, deciding to play along. Perhaps this encounter could provide valuable insight into human interactions. Coffee sounds sufficient. The man smiled, relief washing over his features. Great! I'm Alex, by the way. Lyra, she responded curtly, watching as he slid into the seat across from her. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was this an example of human bonding? Did spilling food lead to friendship, or something more? She resolved to observe closely. As they waited for their drinks, Alex began chatting nervously, asking questions about where Lyra was from and what brought her to the cafe. Lyra answered vaguely, careful not to reveal too much about her true origins. Instead, she turned the conversation back to him, curious about how humans communicated emotions through words. So, Alex said, leaning forward slightly, do you come here often? I mean, not here specifically, but places like this? Lyra frowned, trying to decipher his meaning. Places like this? She echoed. You mean, establishments where humans consume nutrients? Alex chuckled, though it sounded forced. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Cafes, restaurants, stuff like that. No, Lyra said bluntly. I do not frequent such locations. This is my first time. Oh. Alex blinked, clearly caught off guard by her honesty. Well, welcome to the world of dining out then. It's fun. Fun, Lyra repeated, filing the word away for later analysis. Humans seemed to use it frequently, yet its exact definition remained elusive to her. Was eating truly enjoyable, or was it merely a biological necessity disguised as pleasure? Their coffee arrived, steaming hot in ceramic mugs. Alex picked his up and took a sip, wincing slightly as the heat touched his lips. Lyra mimicked his movements, lifting her mug cautiously. She sniffed the liquid inside, detecting hints of bitterness and roasted beans. Back on her planet, beverages were purely functional, designed to hydrate or deliver essential minerals. This drink smelled different. Intriguing. She took a tentative sip, her expression remaining neutral despite the unexpected warmth spreading through her chest. It is tolerable, she declared finally. Alex laughed again, this time more naturally. Tolerable, huh? That's one way to put it. Some people live for coffee. Live for coffee? Lyra echoed, perplexed. How could a liquid sustain life? Unless humans required caffeine to survive, a possibility she hadn't considered before. She made a mental note to research this further. For the next several minutes, they continued talking, though Lyra found herself growing increasingly distracted by Alex's body language. He leaned closer when he spoke, his voice softening. Occasionally, he brushed his fingers against the rim of his mug, seemingly unaware of the gesture. To Lyra, these subtle actions felt deliberate, almost ritualistic. When their conversation eventually wound down, Alex glanced at his watch and sighed. I should probably get going. Work calls. But hey, can I see you again sometime? Maybe we could grab lunch or something? Lyra's eyes widened. Lunch? Another shared meal? Could this be part of the human mating process? Her wristband buzzed again, offering a definition for date, but the concept still eluded her. Was Alex attempting to form a bond with her? If so, why? That depends, Lyra said carefully. What is your intention behind this proposal? Alex blinked, startled by her directness. Well, I just thought it'd be nice to hang out again. Get to know each other better. You're interesting. Interesting, Lyra murmured, testing the word. It wasn't quite praise, nor was it criticism. Yet it carried weight, as though Alex found her worthy of attention. She nodded slowly. Very well. We may attempt this, lunch. Awesome! Alex grinned, standing up. I'll text you the details later, okay? Before Lyra could ask how he planned to contact her, her wristband didn't support human communication devices. Alex scribbled something on a napkin and handed it to her. Here's my number. Just shoot me a message whenever. With that, he left, leaving Lyra alone with her thoughts, and a napkin bearing strange symbols. She stared at it for a long moment, then tapped her wristband to scan the digits. As the device processed the information, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that she had stumbled upon something far more complex than she had anticipated. Human mating rituals were proving to be far stranger than any database could prepare her for. Back in her small rented apartment, Lyra sat cross-legged on the floor, staring intently at the glowing screen of her wristband. The device had translated Alex's handwritten number into a digital format, and now it hovered before her like an alien artifact waiting to be deciphered. She tapped the screen hesitantly, accessing the human communication app she had downloaded earlier as part of her cultural immersion research. Texting, Lyra murmured aloud, recalling snippets of information from her database. Humans use short written messages to communicate casually, often employing abbreviations and emojis to convey emotion. It seemed straightforward enough, until she realized she had no idea what to say. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard interface projected onto the wall by her wristband. What did humans typically write in such situations? Was there a standard greeting, or was creativity encouraged? Her mind raced through possibilities, each one feeling more awkward than the last. Finally, after several minutes of deliberation, she typed out a simple message. "This is Lyra. Confirm receipt of digits." She sent it, and immediately felt a pang of uncertainty. Had that sounded too robotic? Too formal? Would Alex even understand what digits meant? For all her advanced knowledge, Lyra couldn't help but feel woefully unprepared for the nuances of human interaction. A few seconds later, her wristband buzzed softly. A reply had arrived. Lyra leaned closer, her heart inexplicably pounding as she read the response. "Hey Lyra! Got your message. Digits confirmed, smiley face. How's it going?" The tiny yellow smiley face at the end of the sentence caught her attention. Emojis, according to her database, were visual representations of emotions. This particular one indicated happiness or friendliness. But why had Alex chosen to include it? Did he suspect she might misinterpret his tone otherwise? Lyra furrowed her brow, typing out another reply with painstaking precision. "I am functional. Your query suggests concern for my status. Is this customary among humans?" Again, the reply came quickly. "Haha, I guess you could say that. Just trying to be friendly." Friendly. Another word Lyra struggled to fully grasp. Humans appeared to value friendship highly, yet its parameters seemed vague and subjective. Could Alex consider her a friend already? Or was this merely a preliminary stage in their budding relationship? Determined to learn more, Lyra decided to take control of the conversation. She queried. "Define friendly. Provide examples." There was a longer pause this time. When Alex responded, his tone had shifted slightly, more cautious, perhaps even amused. "Friendly means being kind, open, and wanting to connect with someone. Like asking how their day went, or sharing a laugh." "Why do you ask?" Lyra considered this carefully. Kindness, openness, connection, all abstract concepts that required emotional investment. On her home planet, relationships were built on logic and mutual benefit rather than sentimentality. Yet here, among humans, feelings seemed to play a central role in nearly every interaction. She replied. Clarification received. Query: does friendship lead to other forms of bonding? Another pause. Then, well, sometimes, yeah. Friendships can grow into deeper connections if both people want them to. Are we talking about something specific here? Lyra hesitated. Was she ready to broach the topic of human mating rituals directly? No, not yet. She needed more data first. Instead, she deflected. General inquiry. Data collection ongoing. Alex's next message arrived accompanied by yet another emoji, a winking face this time. Winky face. You're full of surprises, aren't you? Anyway, lunch tomorrow sound good? My treat. Lyra stared at the winking face, perplexed. What did it signify? Was it flirtation? Mockery? Playfulness? Her wristband offered multiple interpretations, none of which provided clarity. Frustrated but unwilling to admit defeat, she focused instead on the invitation. Lunch, she muttered under her breath. Another shared meal. Another opportunity to observe human behavior up close. Perhaps this time, she would gain insight into the true nature of their rituals. She typed her response. Affirmative. Lunch accepted. Location? Alex suggested a nearby diner known for its burgers and milkshakes. Lyra agreed, though she privately wondered what purpose these foods served beyond basic sustenance. As the conversation ended and her wristband dimmed, Lyra found herself reflecting on the exchange. Humans were undeniably complex creatures. Their language was riddled with ambiguities, their gestures laden with hidden meanings. And yet, despite the confusion, and perhaps because of it, Lyra felt a spark of excitement. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she sensed she was beginning to unravel the mystery of humanity. But little did she know, tomorrow's lunch would bring revelations far stranger than anything she had encountered so far. The diner was bustling when Lyra arrived the next day, its neon sign flickering faintly in the midday sunlight. She stood outside for a moment, observing the scene through the large glass windows. Humans sat in booths and at counters, laughing, talking, and consuming various foods with apparent enthusiasm. To Lyra, it resembled a chaotic laboratory experiment, each table a test site for social interaction. Inside, Alex waved her over from a booth near the back. He looked different today, wearing a casual t-shirt instead of the green jacket from yesterday. His smile widened as she approached, and he gestured for her to sit across from him. "Hey, Lyra! Glad you made it," he said warmly. Lyra slid into the booth, her movements deliberate and measured. "Affirmative. I am here. Observation commences." Alex chuckled, clearly amused by her formal tone. "You really have a way with words, don't you?" Lyra tilted her head, considering his comment. "Clarification required. Are my linguistic patterns unusual among humans?" "Not unusual, just unique," Alex replied diplomatically. "It's refreshing, actually. Most people don't talk like that." "Understood," Lyra said, though she wasn't entirely sure what refreshing meant in this context. Her wristband buzzed softly, offering a definition, something pleasant or invigorating, but she tucked the information away for later analysis. A waitress appeared, holding a notepad and pen. "What can I get you too?" she asked brightly. Alex glanced at Lyra. "Do you know what you want yet?" Lyra studied the menu mounted on the wall behind the counter. It was filled with colorful descriptions of dishes she didn't fully understand. Burgers, fries, milkshakes, all terms she recognized but couldn't quite visualize. Finally, she pointed to one item at random. "This one." Alex raised an eyebrow. "The double cheeseburger combo? Bold choice." "Bold?" Lyra echoed, unsure if this was praise or criticism. "It's good," Alex assured her. Turning to the waitress, he added, "I'll take the same, and 2 chocolate milkshakes." As the waitress left, Lyra leaned forward slightly. "Query, why did you order beverages containing chocolate? Is this customary during meals?" Alex grinned. "Not exactly customary, but milkshakes are kind of a classic diner thing. You've never had one before?" "Negative," Lyra admitted. "My database lacks experiential data regarding milkshakes." "Well, you're in for a treat," Alex said, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. "They're sweet, creamy, and honestly kind of magical." Magical. Another human hyperbole. Lyra filed it away alongside fun and refreshing. These descriptors seemed to permeate human speech, adding layers of meaning that often eluded her. Their food arrived shortly afterward, presented on bright red plastic trays. Lyra examined her burger cautiously, noting its size and texture. Back on her home planet, meals were compact, nutrient-dense cubes designed for efficiency. This was anything but efficient. "You eat it with your hands," Alex explained, demonstrating by picking up his own burger. "Just take a bite." Lyra followed his lead, gripping the sandwich carefully and bringing it to her mouth. The first bite was overwhelming, a burst of flavors she hadn't anticipated. Salty, savory, slightly greasy, yet oddly satisfying. She chewed slowly, processing the sensations. "Analysis complete," she announced after swallowing. "This substance is acceptable." Alex laughed. "Acceptable? That's high praise coming from you, I guess." They continued eating in companionable silence, punctuated occasionally by Alex's attempts to engage her in conversation. He asked about her interests, her background, her thoughts on Earth so far. Lyra answered truthfully but sparingly, careful not to reveal too much about her true identity. Instead, she turned the focus back on him, probing for insights into human behavior. "So," Alex began, swirling the straw in his milkshake thoughtfully, "you mentioned you're collecting data. What kind of data are you looking for?" Lyra hesitated, weighing her response. How much could she disclose without arousing suspicion? "Human interactions," she said finally. "Specifically, rituals associated with bonding." "Bonding, huh?" Alex repeated, his expression softening. "Like friendships? Or something else?" "Both," Lyra replied, watching him closely. "Your species appears to place significant emphasis on emotional connections. I seek to understand why." Alex smiled gently, almost wistfully. "I think it's because we're wired to crave connection. Life feels better when you share it with someone you know?" Lyra didn't respond immediately. Share life? The concept was foreign to her, yet strangely compelling. On her home planet, individuals operated independently, their goals aligned with collective progress rather than personal fulfillment. Here, however, humans seemed driven by something deeper, an innate desire to belong. Their conversation shifted naturally to lighter topics as they finished their meal. Alex told stories about his childhood, his job, his hobbies. Lyra listened intently, absorbing every detail. When the check arrived, Alex insisted on paying, despite her protests. "It's part of the ritual," he teased, handing cash to the waitress. "Besides, I invited you, remember?" Ritual. The word resonated with Lyra. Everything about this encounter, the shared meal, the casual banter, the insistence on generosity, seemed tied to some larger pattern of behavior. But what was its ultimate purpose? As they stepped outside, Alex turned to her with a hopeful smile. "So, did I pass the test? Was today's lunch sufficiently informative?" Lyra regarded him steadily, her mind racing with possibilities. "Insufficient data remains," she said at last. "Further observation required." Alex laughed again, though there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Well, I'm game if you are. Let me know when you're ready for round 2. With that, they parted ways, leaving Lyra to ponder the events of the day. Human mating rituals were proving far more intricate than she had imagined. And Alex, with his kindness, humor, and baffling quirks, was becoming an increasingly fascinating subject. But as she walked back to her apartment, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial. Something hidden beneath the surface of these seemingly ordinary exchanges. Something that might change everything. Over the next few days, Lyra found herself thinking about Alex more often than she cared to admit. His easygoing demeanor and genuine curiosity about her had left an impression she couldn't quite explain. Humans were supposed to be subjects of study, temporary variables in her mission to understand their culture, but Alex didn't feel like a variable anymore. He felt significant. Her wristband buzzed incessantly with notifications from her home planet, reminding her of her objectives and urging her to focus on her research. Yet every time she tried to analyze the data she'd collected so far, her thoughts drifted back to the diner, to the way Alex's eyes crinkled when he laughed, or how he'd insisted on paying for lunch despite her protests. It was maddening and fascinating. Determined to make sense of it all, Lyra decided to dig deeper into human mating rituals. She accessed her database again, searching for patterns that might shed light on Alex's behavior. What she discovered only deepened her confusion. According to the records, human courtship involved a series of subtle cues: prolonged eye contact, physical proximity, playful teasing, and shared activities like meals or walks. Many of these behaviors overlapped with friendship, making it difficult to distinguish between casual bonding and romantic interest. Worse still, humans often misinterpreted each other's signals, leading to misunderstandings, or worse, rejection. Could this be what was happening with Alex? Was he attempting to court her without realizing it? Or was she misreading his actions entirely? The uncertainty gnawed at her, driving her to take drastic measures. That evening, she resolved to confront Alex directly. If humans valued honesty, then perhaps clarity would help untangle the web of ambiguity surrounding their interactions. The following day, Lyra met Alex at a small park near his apartment. He greeted her warmly, clearly pleased to see her again. They strolled along a winding path lined with trees, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot. For a while, they chatted casually about mundane topics: the weather, recent movies, random observations about life on Earth. But as they reached a quiet bench overlooking a pond, Lyra stopped abruptly. "We need to discuss something," she said, her tone unusually serious. Alex blinked, caught off guard by her sudden shift in demeanor. Okay. What's up?" Lyra hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Your species engages in complex rituals to form emotional bonds. Correct?" "Yeah, I guess you could say that," Alex replied, frowning slightly. "Why do you ask?" "I have observed inconsistencies in your behavior," Lyra continued, her voice steady but tinged with frustration. "You share food, offer gifts, engage in prolonged conversation, and maintain close physical proximity. These actions align with documented human mating rituals." Alex stared at her, his mouth opening and closing wordlessly. Finally, he managed to choke out, "Wait, are you saying, do you think I'm trying to, Yes," Lyra interjected bluntly. "Are you attempting to initiate a mating sequence with me?" For a moment, there was silence. Then Alex burst out laughing, clutching his sides as if unable to contain himself. Lyra watched him, perplexed. Was this laughter a sign of affirmation? Denial? Embarrassment? "No, no, no!" Alex gasped between laughs. "I mean, sure, I like hanging out with you, but I wasn't thinking about, that. Not yet, anyway." "Not yet?" Lyra echoed, her brow furrowing. "Explain." Alex wiped tears of mirth from his eyes, still grinning. "Look, Lyra, humans don't always have ulterior motives when we spend time together. Sometimes it's just fun. Getting to know someone without any expectations. But your actions suggest otherwise," Lyra countered, her voice rising slightly. "Sharing nutrients, offering compensation for accidents, engaging in prolonged auditory exchanges, all indicators point toward courtship." Alex shook his head, his smile softening. "Maybe in some cases, yeah. But not everything has to be part of some grand plan. Sometimes people just enjoy each other's company. Isn't that enough?" Lyra fell silent, processing his words. Enjoyment. Companionship. Could these concepts exist independently of mating rituals? Her database offered conflicting interpretations, leaving her more confused than ever. Before she could respond, Alex leaned closer, his expression growing earnest. "Listen, Lyra, I won't lie. I think you're amazing. You're smart, curious, and unlike anyone I've ever met. But I also respect boundaries. If you're not comfortable with where things are headed, we can dial it back. No pressure, okay?" His sincerity struck a chord within her, though she couldn't fully articulate why. Humans place such importance on emotions, on mutual understanding. Perhaps Alex's willingness to adapt, to prioritize her comfort over his desires, was itself a form of connection. "I appreciate your transparency," Lyra said finally. "However, my analysis remains inconclusive. Further observation is required." Alex chuckled softly. "Fair enough. Just promise me one thing, okay?" "What is it?" "That you'll let me know if you figure it out before I do." Despite herself, Lyra felt the corners of her mouth twitch upward, a fleeting approximation of a human smile. Acknowledged. As they resumed their walk, Lyra's mind raced with new questions. If human relationships weren't strictly transactional or ritualistic, then what governed them? And if Alex wasn't pursuing her romantically, why did she feel a strange warmth spreading through her chest whenever he smiled at her? Perhaps the answers lay not in logic or data, but in something far more elusive, the unpredictable nature of human hearts. In the days that followed, Lyra found herself increasingly preoccupied with Alex's words. "No pressure," he had said, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that there was pressure, though not from him. It came from within her, a growing tension between her mission as an observer and her emerging emotions. She had come to Earth to study humans, not to become entangled in their complexities. But now, she was beginning to wonder if detachment was even possible. Her wristband buzzed constantly with reminders from her superiors on her home planet. They demanded updates, progress reports, evidence of breakthroughs in understanding human mating rituals. Each notification grated on her nerves, pulling her attention away from the one thing, or person, that truly fascinated her. For the first time, Lyra questioned the value of her mission. What good was data if it failed to capture the essence of humanity? Determined to reconcile her dual roles, Lyra decided to test a theory. If human relationships were built on trust and vulnerability, then perhaps sharing a piece of herself would provide clarity. Not everything, just enough to bridge the gap between observer and subject. The opportunity arose sooner than expected. One evening, Alex invited her to a small gathering at his apartment. Just a few friends, he assured her. Nothing fancy. I thought it might be fun for you to meet some other humans. Lyra hesitated. Social events were unpredictable, chaotic affairs that often defied logical analysis. Yet something about Alex's invitation compelled her to accept. Perhaps it was the way he smiled when he asked, or the genuine enthusiasm in his voice. Whatever it was, she found herself nodding. Very well, she said. I will attend. When she arrived, the apartment was alive with laughter and chatter. A group of humans sat clustered around a table laden with snacks and drinks. Music played softly in the background, and the air smelled faintly of spices and citrus. Lyra stood awkwardly by the door, unsure how to proceed. Hey everyone! Alex called out, drawing the room's attention. This is Lyra. She's a friend. Friend. The word resonated deeply, though Lyra wasn't sure why. She nodded politely as introductions were made, exchanging brief pleasantries with Alex's companions. Most of them seemed friendly enough, though their rapid-fire conversations left her struggling to keep up. At one point, Alex handed her a plate of food, a colorful assortment of vegetables and dip. Try this, he urged. It's guacamole. Trust me, you'll like it. Lyra accepted the plate cautiously, taking a small bite as instructed. To her surprise, the flavor was rich and satisfying, unlike anything she'd tasted before. Analysis complete, she declared. This substance is enjoyable. Alex grinned, clearly pleased by her reaction. Told you! As the night wore on, Lyra found herself relaxing slightly. She observed the dynamics between Alex and his friends, noting how they teased each other, shared stories, and laughed freely. There was no agenda, no hidden motives, just camaraderie. It was disorienting but strangely comforting. Eventually, the conversation turned to relationships. One of Alex's friends, a woman named Mia, leaned forward conspiratorially. So, Alex, any updates on your love life? Still single? Alex groaned, rolling his eyes. Mia, really? Can we not do this right now? What? Mia shot back, grinning mischievously. We're just curious. You've been spending a lot of time with Lyra lately. Anything we should know about? Lyra froze, her heart pounding unexpectedly. Did others perceive her interactions with Alex as romantic? Was this how humans deduced intent, through gossip and speculation? Alex glanced at Lyra, his expression unreadable. Nah, we're just friends, he said finally, his tone light but firm. For now, anyway. For now? Mia repeated, raising an eyebrow. Careful, Alex. Don't let her slip away. The comment hung in the air, heavy with implication. Lyra felt a strange mixture of relief and disappointment. Relief because Alex hadn't misrepresented their relationship, and disappointment because, well, she wasn't entirely sure why. Later, as the party wound down and the guests began to leave, Alex walked Lyra to the door. Sorry about Mia, he said sheepishly. She means well, but sometimes she doesn't know when to stop. It is irrelevant, Lyra replied, though her voice betrayed a hint of unease. Humans often speculate about the nature of bonds. This is documented behavior. True, Alex admitted. But it doesn't make it any less awkward. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken thoughts lingering between them. Finally, Lyra spoke. I must disclose something, she began hesitantly. My presence here is not purely recreational. Alex frowned, concern flickering across his face. What do you mean? I am an observer, Lyra continued, choosing her words carefully. My mission is to study human behavior, particularly mating rituals. Everything I have done, our meals, our conversations, has been part of this objective. To her surprise, Alex didn't react with anger or betrayal. Instead, he nodded slowly, as if piecing together a puzzle. That explains a lot, he said quietly. Like why you always seem so analytical. Yes, Lyra confirmed. However, recent developments have complicated my analysis. Specifically, your behavior. My behavior? Alex echoed, his brow furrowing. What about it? You exhibit traits consistent with courtship, Lyra explained. Yet you deny romantic interest. This discrepancy confounds me. Alex stared at her for a long moment, then burst into laughter again. Oh, Lyra, he said, shaking his head. You really don't get it, do you? Get what? Lyra demanded, frustration creeping into her voice. That maybe I do like you, Alex admitted, his cheeks flushing slightly. But I'm trying not to push too hard because I don't want to scare you off. Humans aren't great at reading signals either, you know. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. You like me? Yeah, Alex said simply. And if you're okay with it, I'd like to see where things go. No rush, no expectations. Just us. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Lyra felt utterly unprepared. Her database offered no guidance for this moment, no algorithm to calculate the correct response. All she had was instinct, and the warmth spreading through her chest. Affirmative, she whispered finally. Further observation is acceptable. Alex smiled, and for once, Lyra didn't need her wristband to interpret its meaning. It was warm, hopeful, and full of promise.